Hello, today I'm looking at Majjhima number 146, the NandakoVada Sutta, translated as Advice from Nandaka. Now the location is Savatthi in Jetta's Grove, Anitta Park, and also at Rajaka Park. And the people mentioned are Buddha, or the Blessed One, Mahapajapati Gautami, who is Buddha's aunt, mother's sister. And also there's 500 bhikkhunis, or monks, the Venerable Nandaka, the Venerable Ananda, and other venerable monks. Now, to set the scene, Mahapajapati Gautami and 500 other bhikkhunis, or nuns, are being instructed on the Dhamma by some of the venerable monks. When it comes again to Venerable Nandaka's turn, he at first refuses to provide instruction, but at Buddha's insistence, Nandaka agrees. And the instruction takes place after the morning alms round in Rajaka Park, where he, Nandaka, and a companion are met by the bhikkhunis. After the courtesies of greetings, seat preparation and feet washing, Nandaka addresses the bhikkhunis. He says the talk will be in the form of questions. Let me know if you understand the question, don't understand, or are perplexed. Nandaka asks, is the I permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, comes the reply. Is what is impermanent discontent or happiness? Discontent, comes the reply. Is what is impermanent discontent and subject to change, fit to be thought of as this is mine, this I am, this is my self? No, Venerable Sir. Nandaka repeats the same question for the other sense receptors, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the skin, the mind, and receives the same answers and concludes by saying, these 6 internal bases are all impermanent. Nandaka then moves on to ask the same set of questions, but this time referring to stimuli, the forms, sounds, odours, flavours, touch or tangibles, and mind objects, with the bhikkhunis again concluding, these 6 external bases are impermanent, for the same reasoning. And again, Nandaka applauds the bhikkhunis. So it is with a noble disciple who sees this as it actually is with proper wisdom. Nandaka then goes on to explore the interpreters of the external objects. That is, bhikkhunis, what do you think? Is I, excuse me, oops, all gone blue, excuse me. Bhikkhunis, what do you think? Is eye consciousness, ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, nose consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, came the reply. Is what is impermanent discontent or happiness? Discontent, came the reply. Is what is impermanent discontent, subject to change, fit to be regarded as this is mine, this I am, this is my self? No. Why? Because, Venerable Sir, we have already seen this as it actually is with proper wisdom. The 6 classes of consciousness are impermanent. Nandaka then presents some analogies or similes to make his point. The first simile he gives is to point out that an oil lamp with its oil, wick and flame are impermanent, subject to change. so too is the light that it gives off. So that must also be impermanent and subject to change. So, Nandaka asks, would someone be correct saying the 6 internal bases are impermanent and subject to change, but the feelings one experiences from these bases are permanent and not subject to change? No, came the reply from the bhikkhunis, because each feeling arises dependent upon its corresponding condition, and with the cessation of its corresponding condition, the feeling ceases. The next analogy is a mighty tree with its roots, trunk, branches and heartwood that casts a giant shadow. The mighty tree is impermanent and subject to change, but is its shadow permanent, eternal, and not subject to change? The reply from the bhikkhunis is that just as the tree is impermanent, so is its shadow. And Nandaka draws the analogy that just as the 6 external bases are impermanent, subject to change, that the pleasant, painful, or neutral feelings experienced is impermanent, because each feeling arises dependent upon its corresponding condition, and with the cessation of the corresponding condition, the feeling ceases. The last analogy is of a cow being killed, its hide being severed from its body with a sharp butcher's knife. And even if there was an attempt to recover the cow with its hide, the cow would still be disjoined from that hide. Nandaka then says he gave this simile to give the meaning that the inner mass of the cow's flesh is a term for the 6 internal bases. The outer hide is a term for the 6 external bases, and the inner tendons, sinews and ligaments that have been severed is a term for the delight and lust, and the sharp butcher's knife is a term for noble wisdom. The noble wisdom that cuts, severs and carves away the inner defilements, fetters and bonds. Nandaka continues, Bhikkhunis, there are 7 enlightenment factors through the development and cultivation of which a bhikkhu, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, here and now, enters upon and abides in the deliverance of mind, and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless, with the destruction of the taints or imperfections, or in Pali, the asavas. Nandaka continues, the 7 factors are the development of the mindfulness factor, which is supported by seclusion, dispassion and sensation, and which ripens in relinquishment. The second is the investigation of states. The third, energy. The fourth, rapture. The fifth, tranquility. The 6th, concentration. And the 7th is equanimity, all supported by seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and ripening in relinquishment. Now this ended Nandaka's talk, and after paying their respects to Buddha, the bhikkhunis departed. Buddha then addressed the assembled bhikkhus, that's the monks. Just as people are clear that Upasata day of the 14th, so that's the one between the new moon and the full moon, the moon is incomplete, so too the bhikkhunis are satisfied with Nandaka's teaching of the Dhamma, but their intention has not yet been fulfilled. So Buddha requests Nandaka to repeat his instructions to the bhikkhunis, which Nandaka does. And after this teaching, Buddha declares that the bhikkhunis' intentions are fulfilled, and states that even the least advanced of the 500 bhikkhunis is a stream enterer. no longer subject to deprivation, bound for deliverance, headed for enlightenment. This is what the Blessed One said, and the bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. And that's the end of Majjhima number 146, the NandakoVada Sutta. Thanks for watching.